Has 2021 left you disappointed, stressed, disorganized, exhausted from continuously managing the existential chaos of chronic uncertainty? Well, you're not alone. Like most people, I started 2021 with a nanoscopic sense of hope, only to have all my dreams and aspirations crushed under the weight of the continuing shitstorm that the past 2 years have brought. December has traditionally been one of the best, if not my favorite months of the year. Not only do we have the holidays and peak cozy season, but I also spend a lot of this time reflecting and planning for the year ahead. While most of us can be somewhat delusional in our New Year planning, I nevertheless look forward to this period of time where we slow down, hit pause, and look back on what the year has brought us. So without further ado, here are the 4 stages of how to properly reset for the new year. Starting with Stage 1, play. Rather than begin with reflection or goal setting, I always start my end of the year resetting period by making room for creativity and play. Our best ideas come to us not while we're working, but when we're doing something else. So learn something, feed your curiosity, tap into your inner child. This can be listening to those podcasts that have been sitting in your queue, binging your YouTube watch list, finally reading that book that your friend recommended months ago, painting your room a new color, playing video games, baking cookies, or just doodling whatever comes to mind. This is also when you should be spending guilt-free time with friends and family, cuddling your dog, or just enjoying your own company. I typically do this the week before Christmas, but feel free to use any benchmark that makes sense to your life and traditions. When we make room for play, inspiration flows, and ideas and new connections come to us more easily. This is an important first step because it allows us to fill our cup and to enter the next stage from a place of fullness, joy, and inspiration. I often keep a running list of new project ideas or bucket list items that come to mind during this period, which I review in the 3rd stage. But first, we must enter stage 2, which is stillness. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. This is the most important and often most overlooked part of ending the year. We can't see ourselves clearly until we've taken a moment to step back, cut out the noise, and really look at our lives with a sense of calm and awareness. It can be a week, a day, or even just an afternoon, but find time to slow down and be still with yourself. As Dan Harris once said in 10% Happier, make the present moment your friend rather than your enemy, because many people live habitually as if the present moment were an obstacle that they need to overcome in order to get to the next moment. And living your whole life like that, where always this moment is never quite right, not good enough, because you need to get to the next one, that is continuous stress. Some strategies that I personally find useful are 1. To physically isolate yourself in a place where you're unlikely to be bothered. This can be your room at home, your favorite coffee shop, or if you have the means, even renting an Airbnb or a hotel room for the weekend. And 2, to digitally isolate yourself. I personally deleted TikTok and Instagram at the beginning of December, and I've felt so much more clear-headed ever since doing this. It's allowed space for my own original thoughts and ideas, rather than thinking about whatever an algorithm is feeding me. This is a change that I'm considering making permanent in 2022, so if that's a topic that interests you, leave a comment below and I'll make a video about it in the future. And finally, make time for nothing. Go on walks, meditate, or even sit on the couch and just stare out the window. View boredom as an asset. You should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day unless you're too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. Although ambition is wonderful and it's always exciting to go into a new year with high hopes and expectations, making time for stillness is a gentle reminder that everything we have and are in this moment is enough. After you've taken time to be alone, it's time to write. This is the part where you dust off the old journal and get started on your annual reflection. I always like to start my reflection with the people, places, things, and experiences that I'm most grateful for. Then I dive into an overview of the events that shaped the year. And finally, I ask myself a series of questions like, what went well? What did I accomplish? What challenges have I overcome? What lessons did I learn? What new ideas did I discover? How did my thoughts and ideas change as a result? When was I at my best? Who was I with? And what was I doing? Keep this list handy because now we're entering the most exciting stage, which is building. This is the part where we start looking forward to the future and planning for what we want our life to look like in the year ahead. I like to start with a brain dump, starting with my running ideas list from stage 1. Then I look at the reflection notes from stage 2 and ask myself, what do I want to continue? Where can I improve? Then I think, what's on my bucket list? What excites me? What makes me lose track of time? What would I do if money weren't an issue? What would I do if I knew I would succeed? What have I been putting off? It's important to dream big. I wrote continuously for 3 hours, brainstorming every possibility of what I could ever imagine doing, being, having, creating, experiencing, or contributing. The timeline I gave myself for achieving these goals was any time tomorrow to the next 20 years. I never stopped to think whether I could actually achieve these goals or not. I simply captured any possibility that inspired me and wrote it down. This is the process of imagining your future self without any limiting beliefs. Next, since we can't do everything all at once, ask yourself, what can I put off until next year? What must I no longer procrastinate on? What is most closely aligned with my values? Use your answers to prioritize which goals you want to focus on in the upcoming year. There are tons of different methods to choose from when it comes to actually planning and strategizing. Some examples include Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults, which is a system by August Bradley that I've been recently adapting, the Annual Review by Chris Guillebeau, the Anti-Wasteman System by Ali Abdaal, and the Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. But no matter the system, the general approach is the same. Number 1, set a goal. Number 2, translate it into a SMART goal or something similarly achievable. 3, figure out the individual actions that will help you achieve said goal. 4, write them down in a place where you will regularly see them and will periodically review. Once you have your goal set, it's equally important to brainstorm systems, routines, and habits that will help you get there. Ask yourself, what are small changes and actions I can do on a daily or weekly basis that will help me achieve each of my goals? For example, if our goal is to improve our physical health, that might look like adding a veggie to every meal, going on a walk every day, or just being more mindful when we sit down to eat. Ideally, you'll have a way to track these. It can be a calendar, a spreadsheet, a Notion database. Just make sure it's accessible and reviewed on a regular basis. One thing I personally try to do is to prototype or beta test these habits and systems in the week or weeks leading up to the new year. This is so that I have time to course correct if I feel like something isn't working. This also encourages you to start before you're ready and to avoid falling into the trap of thinking that fresh starts, whether that be a new year, a new week, or a new day, are the only time to make changes in our life. That brings us to our fourth and final stage, which is to physically and mentally make room for the year ahead. This is the easiest and most satisfying part, where we get rid of anything that's no longer serving us. This starts with physically decluttering our spaces, removing anything that no longer brings us joy, and clearing out our environment so that we can really feel like we're starting fresh, aka Marie Kondo the shit out of your home. Since so much of our lives are now lived online, it's equally important to digitally declutter by clearing our files and apps from our computers, phones, and any other devices that we spend time with. And finally, last but not least, it's time to let go. Write down all of the goals you failed to accomplish, all of the people who have disappointed you, all of your mistakes and embarrassments. Put it all down on paper. Then tear it up, burn it, send it off with a sincere thank you for all the lessons that those experiences taught you. And wake up on January 1st, ready to start fresh. Wishing you all a safe and happy end to 2021 and a year of overwhelming love and joy in 2022. See you next time.